Hello, welcome to the next episode of Next Creators. Today we have Chris from Few and Far. Nice to see you here.
Hey, Sasha, nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Maybe we can start with a brief introduction to what is Few and Far.
Yeah, sure. So we've been building in the near ecosystem since the start of the year, and we're bringing a marketplace, premium NFT marketplace with integrated DeFi, which is really community owned and backed. So yeah, we're very excited to have shipped and launched our beta at the end of last week, and now have a live product within the near ecosystem to be talking about.
That's cool. And where did your journey start when it comes to Web3?
I've been in Web3 for quite some time, actually before it was called Web3. I was, prior to coming into the crypto space, I had a Web2 company, which is called Odyssey Mobile, which we were a premium mobile marketing and advertising platform working with Fortune 500 brands, which we successfully exited and listed on the NASDAQ. We then, that was 2016, became very interested in blockchain and smart contract technology. I was the co-founder of a project. I was very successful in the early stages of the last bull run. And the last couple of years, I've been running Meta Edge Ventures, which is a venture studio advising and consulting with Web3 projects. So that gave me a really good exposure and experience to launching a token and a project, building a community, and really, as the space has evolved, we've understood more about NFTs and the utility and what they can offer and bring to the community, as well as then different blockchains, and got experience developing across an array of different chains. And when I came into the near ecosystem, it's been quite refreshing and really exciting to be part of this developer community that's been supporting each other, and we're very excited with where this journey is going.
That's cool. Maybe you can mention about different chains that you've tried overall. Like how would you also describe the differences between different ecosystems, communities on those?
Yeah, so first of all, building on Ethereum back in 2017, when really there wasn't much other choice, and the influx of new projects all launching, just became impossible or very, very difficult to get any sort of developer support, comms and marketing support, or really much of a grant system. And as the layer one ecosystem has become more competitive, and as the third generation, I call it, layer ones have been able to offer more, let's say, advantages of the likes of Ethereum, which become an interesting environment for developers. And what's really changed is building. Back in 2017, everything was about the layer one, the protocol, and a lot of the VCs and investors were all investing in the next protocols, and it was very hard to raise money as an application layer just because it was so early. And this was like before CryptoKitties and NFTs were known as NFTs. This time round in this market, it's seen the flourish of all these layer ones, and it's seen a very vibrant and active VC community who are now supporting each of those layer ones, and that helps grow the ecosystem, as well as then a well-funded layer one protocol, creating a grant program to help support the community. So funding this time round has become much easier and not easier, but more strategic, with being able to leverage some great partners that can help. And then we've had NFTs and the community and the value of how the business model could work start to really flourish. And with the growth of OpenSea and Magic Eden, we've seen some of those returns as a business of how these NFT marketplaces can perform.
Mm-hmm. And when you think about evolution of NFT space, what do you think OpenSea and Magic Eden did right, and what kinds of things you're implementing, maybe from some of the things they've done, as well as what are the new things you are thinking to bring to the table?
Yeah, so we've been following the space very closely over the past 18 months, and back to how I've been advising and investing in projects. We've been looking at the middleware layer of the NFT ecosystem. So the ability to make easy minting, to add different utilities from NFTs. OpenSea had first mover advantage on the biggest the chain with the most locked up value. So made total sense that Ethereum led the way here, like they have done within DeFi and many other chains, and they did very well just being first to market and building a very strong platform. Magic Eden has come a lot, and well, sticking to Ethereum still, it was then interesting to see models like LooksRare and Rarible were able to, through using a token, generate and change community behavior. And LooksRare, for example, airdropped everybody on OpenSea tokens, and were able to, anyone who's traded on OpenSea, and were able to capture a lot of attention and a lot of volume. That model wasn't so sustainable from the token price due to the mass amount of supply distributed to the market. But interesting to start to see some of the gamification and some of the community building mechanisms through using a token that can be beneficial through marketplaces without such a token. And Magic Eden, we've been very impressed with, and met the team 12 months ago when they were just starting on their journey. They have had an excellent approach of providing a white glove experience for projects, for attracting great projects to their platform, and then provided more of a curated experience. So the community built up very quickly through the mass of projects launching on Magic Eden, and they got that network effect very, very quickly. So it created more success in selling out NFT drops based on that active community. And I think now they've just surpassed $2 billion worth of secondary market sales, which is an amazing achievement, especially in this bear market and through the downturn. And I feel Solana as a blockchain has really benefited through the applications such as Magic Eden being very, very good at marketing and community building and supporting projects from a platform point of view.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. And now looking forward, when you think about the NFT space, how do you think it will start to evolve from here, also with your launch?
Yeah, so we've had the era of PFPs, and the really has been a great way to showcase the technology, to get mass adoption to a certain extent, but then create the understanding and the ability for users to come in to purchase digital collectibles, and whether that's now becoming more and more seamless as an experience, using credit cards, using multiple chains, bridging, but it's still very difficult for the normie, let's say, who isn't on MetaMask or doesn't have a crypto wallet, to come in, and the amount of steps that they need to do to purchase an NFT can just be too overwhelming. And that's put off a lot of traditional companies and Web2 IP who have been too afraid to expose this whole onboarding experience to their massive user base, who only 2% may be familiar with crypto, and that's led to a generation of what I call a Web 2.5 marketplace, where it's acting as Web3 and NFTs and owning your own assets, but really you're creating an account with Google, you're using your credit card, you're KYCing, and you're buying NFTs all within this centralized marketplace, which then can be difficult to actually own the NFT. You're just storing it on their database, really. So a few of these marketplaces have become very nice and easy for traditional brands to adapt Web2 users, but have also going very much against everything that Web3 is about, and the principles of owning your own assets and being in control of your own data, and being able to take your assets with you to different platforms. So interesting to go into where we see NFTs going from here. Much more utility is now starting to be introduced to NFTs. So rather than just being a collectible, NFTs can now start to, we're seeing, be music, the sort of file format, music videos, and more formats in the sense of what NFTs can be. We're seeing more utility from a ticketing aspect, and from the ability to use the NFT to gain unique and special access, which is very, very interesting. And we're seeing NFTs evolving within gaming as well. And that's a big interest and focus to us, is how you can then start to use and utilize your NFTs within the gaming experience.
And from my experience working with gaming projects in Web3, seems like that the right move is to do it very much incrementally and with the community. So it's different from development standpoint. It's not a big launch and kind of like Hollywood, like either you succeed or it's a flop. It's more incremental and with the community. And I think NFT Drops naturally is a really big part of this. You kind of like fundraising from your own community, you building community through this experience. And people who have done it multiple times, they like really benefited. Like Metamon and the near ecosystem is a good example. How do you think?
Sorry, just to add to your point there, I think you're bang on. We've had this era of building as much hype, and it then creates first mover advantage, that the only way you succeed financially is if you get on the whitelist, get in as early as possible, and then flip that NFT as soon as you can to make a profit, which becomes much more of a race to the bottom approach to rather than building a long-term healthy ecosystem, as you said, which would like to see smaller collections, sustainable drops over a period of time, which creates utility and then doesn't put the pressure on the teams launching the game and doing the marketing to only have one window to sell out. And if they don't sell, they fail, and have that sense of failure if you don't complete the sale within a short window. So it'd be much better to see much more of a longer term sustainable approach, which we're starting to see now.
And when you look on the music side, also it's interesting that the label space got consolidated in the last like 10-15 years. It started with like Big Seven, then Big Six, now Big Three music labels. There are some indie labels, but I think majority of it is owned by pretty much three big players. So Web3 kind of allows musicians to break away from this model, and the cost of production of music dropped significantly in the last couple of decades, maybe like 2 digits. But the hard part is still probably distribution. Is like, how do you stand out as a musician in an environment where anybody can be part of this marketplace? There is no gateway between you and the audience. I'm curious, like, how do you think about the music NFTs? How would they evolve? Is it the case that only like maybe like 1-2% of musicians like understand that you not only need to create the new content, also you need to build your own brand, your own community? How do you think that space evolving?
Couple of hours ago, I just got off the call with a very interesting project, and working with a very big band that everyone would have heard of. I wish I could disclose a bit more information, but it's so exciting to have these conversations now, and the conversation evolving exactly in that way. Where we've seen the biggest innovation on the internet, or one of the biggest innovations on the internet over the past decade plus, has been social media, right? The Facebooks, and it all kind of started, previously from MySpace, Facebook. That journey to now where we are with, TikTok, enables content distribution and communities to amass it in new ways, which has been giving power back to, as you said, these artists and groups. So using Instagram, Discord, Twitter, the artists can have that direct relationship with their fans and following in a much different way than they had prior to social media, where you did need to have the big middlemen and big companies building big audiences. There still is a role to play in marketing and advertising and bringing new fans into the ecosystem. But what I'm liking is the much more of the control that the artists can have over talking directly to their fans. And now with Web3 and being able to use NFT technology to generate digital assets, digital collectibles, the artists can then benefit directly from the audience and their fan base in many different and very creative ways. And where we're seeing this evolving is really this immersive experience where the artist is going above and beyond and providing and wanting to, run a gig in the metaverse and being able to interact with their fans in this immersive metaverse experience. And we know teams that are working on solving this. With VR technology, you can have the band playing and performing in your living room, and that's some cool. We're not that far. It sounds crazy, but with everything speed of technology at the moment, we're not that far away from this. Plus, then on the ticketing side, there's some really interesting teams solving and a couple of projects in near that we know who are solving the issues with ticketing, where now touts and resale of tickets, the profits aren't going to the ticket masters and the touts on the door selling the tickets, ripping off fans. Now with the blockchain technology and with NFTs as tickets, the royalties of the resale are going actually to benefit the artists, and it becomes much more of a secure, safe way to interact without fraudulent tickets and everything else that comes with that sector.
I would be also curious to talk more deeply on your own journey as an entrepreneur now building Few and Far. How did you decide to work specifically on this idea as opposed to other things that you might have seen while running the venture studio or generally in the space?
Yeah, so a mix of ingredients, really, but it was nice. I've always been a serial entrepreneur, love building. Took a bit of time out with the venture studio, which helped just advise and invest in other projects to really, understand the space. And no matter how experienced you are now, crypto is A, moving so quickly, and B, is so big and vast with what it can touch in different industries and verticals and sectors that you can't necessarily be an expert in crypto and know everything that's going on all the time in all these different ecosystems. And the interesting element is after kind of taking a bit of time out and helping other founders, gave me really good exposure across different areas, whilst kind of waiting to not jump into anything too quickly, but wait to see that kind of what we believe the next big thing. And what we were going through, running different NFT drops, testing the market previously on different chains, we were seeing lots of flaws to those chains, and lots of issues with the marketplaces operating in those ecosystems. Then we met the Near team, and with some good contacts within Near, I understood some of the technologies and how Near were approaching solving some of the issues with blockchain technology, and was very impressed. And the biggest one, which I think is underplayed often within the Near ecosystem, is the web-based wallet tooling. And if we can talk about that for a moment, the biggest problem touched upon before is NFTs are all great and fine, but it's taken us many YouTube videos and many mistakes trying to set up new wallets, bridging between chains, funding wallets with setting up Coinbase accounts and KYCing and having to wait 3 or 4 weeks. And it's a well-known fact that the onboarding experience is very difficult. And MetaMask, as successful as they've been, it's not a nice user experience if you're new to crypto and Web3. What really attracted us to Near and really where we saw the evolution of NFTs and marketplaces, and then the next opportunity is to build a marketplace that can remain decentralized, and having the user hold the assets and being able to transfer those assets wherever they want without then compromising on security, and without compromising on easing the onboarding experience, but making it a very centralized experience where the marketplace is holding your wallet and your public keys and your private keys and your assets. And so with the web-based wallets and the ability to create a new wallet without having to download anything as a new user, becomes very, very appealing and attractive for not only existing companies with big audiences wanting to come into Web3, but then new users from other chains that want to bridge over and come and try out Near's ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And yeah, I have like fun story on this too about the usability on onboarding and web wallet. So back in early 2019, so I was actually talking to a lot of game studios while still working at Near. And essentially, since our background was coming from the database space and we were thinking about scalability, we're building the new L1 that's scalable, and the gaming studios at the time, the gas prices were not an issue at the time. They were saying that scalability is actually not non-issue for them. They were saying like we essentially need gamers first, and then we need to scale if we have gamers, but we're actually losing like
So the scale.
essentially like 199 out of 200, I think people are lost on MetaMask alone, which is like insane, but it's true.
And part of how we've thought about the onboarding experience, and we've still got lots to develop with our MVP, which is out there, but we're really focusing on streamlining that onboarding and working with the Near Wallet team and a few partners to make that payment, make the onboarding smooth, simple, and the funding of the wallet just as easy. And we are building in the Near ecosystem, not to cannibalize the current ecosystem. We're wanting everybody to succeed within the community, but our real focus is on the business development of bringing exciting Web3 communities and games into Near with the proven track records, as well as then working with the Near business development team that we've got a very close relationship with to joint pitch to bring big Web2 companies, big IP and artists into the ecosystem to bring new wallets, to bring new liquidity and new growth to help benefit the whole of the Near ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. And from your experience so far, with the bigger IP people looking into the space, what are the most important things for them as you're hearing their kind of like journey into the space?
Yeah, there's a nice shopping list that we tick off and in when we're discussing, and again with Near we're able to tick a lot of these off. But carbon neutral is a big deal. There's a lot of bad press with blockchain in general, and that comes through the proof of work consensus and the bad rap that crypto's getting. These companies don't want to be associated with hurting the environment. Gas prices and cost of storage is an issue when we're talking microtransactions within a gaming ecosystem, especially when they may have been exposed to Ethereum, especially paying $5, $10, $100 on gas fees it ruins the business model very quickly. And those are two elements that Near definitely solves and has can deliver. The web-based wallet, and what's interesting is when we talk about web-based wallets, the product managers and the leaders of these companies don't know any other way than MetaMask, and that's what they associate crypto with, having an extension, having an app that needs to be downloaded, and that creates a big bottleneck within the onboarding and user flow, as you very well know. So once we sell them on the idea that it's possible to have a web-based wallet to onboard new users without any downloads, and that then interacting with transactions on the Near blockchain through the application can become very seamless as soon as that user is onboarded, and without them having to, as you said, don't download any app. And so they're the three real focal points. Then there's the more of the business aspect, because these are companies wanting to have a professional relationship with a team that they can trust and that they can support them. And Nia's been doing a great job in building out their business development team, their marketing team, and to really have a professional approach to onboarding some big players. And as a result of that, we've seen Sale GP, Sweatcoin, these types of very well known big companies with big audience bases trusting Nia and coming into the ecosystem. And so there is a business and professional element there as well, which has been great to see with the Nia team.
And now that you're in beta and people can fully try the marketplace, how do you think about the evolution of your own product also going forward? Like, what are the components of the platform? What are the things you're focusing on right now?
Yeah, for the beta, we just shipped the pretty standard secondary marketplace. We wanted to get the UI and the UX nailed down, and it's taken us a lot of research and development and testing and QAing. But we feel like we're really happy, and the community has given us some excellent feedback with what that looks like today. Very clean, simple user experience, not too familiar with other marketplaces. Where we're going now is the onboarding. We're streamlining and simplifying the ability to create new accounts and to connect to multiple third-party wallets. We're adding payment rails to enable you to fund your account. And we're adding bridging, which is very unique to marketplaces, but you'll be able to bridge from Ethereum into NEAR all within our application very soon. So that's some of the onboarding and getting started. And this is critical, again, not for the current NEAR ecosystem, but for either other ecosystems within Web3 or Web2, which is very important. We are looking forward to then our launchpad going live within the coming weeks, and so we'll be supporting some of these newer projects and creating a excellent environment for them to be coming to Few and Far, to be minting and joining communities, etc. So we've got some excellent features around that. And then we've got our token launch in the coming weeks, and that introduces the farming element of the marketplace, which is then very unique. So then you can own a proportion of the platform, essentially, of all the transaction fees and the trading fees by staking the FAR token. And you can either do that single-sided staking or double-sided staking using the likes of Ref Finance LP token and earn a generation and generate rewards, and those rewards are backed by the transaction fees happening within the marketplace and the launchpad fees of the projects that are launching. So we've had a really great response from the community and from projects to be able to benefit from not only the royalties on their project, but also some of the upside of everything that's happening within the platform.
That's cool. And within this component, you also mentioned ability to either purchase NFTs from other chains, or is it like kind of like more like NFT bridge like functionality?
So it's more on the token bridge. So again, thinking about the onboarding, it's using bridging for tokens to be able to bring ERC20 on Ethereum or Solana into your NEAR wallet, so you're fully funded. So you don't get bounced around the house and have to do a lot of research if you're new to NEAR, but experienced on Solana and Phantom, and have to then figure out how to come into NEAR. We'll have it all within the ecosystem, within the application, and streamline that journey. So that means connecting your MetaMask to the Few and Far application to then bridge from ETH chain into NEAR, and then the fiat payment is crucial and important as well. So you can use your credit card to purchase NFTs.
Yeah, that's powerful. So not only you can bring people from other ecosystems, they can bring digital assets that they have in other chains, but you can also onboard net new people with fiat, with credit cards.
Exactly, yeah. And then as we evolve, we're rolling out a game store, so a dedicated section within the Few and Far app, which is focused on gaming. And we're seeing some great game studios now starting to work with not only games that have NFTs, but we can also be supporting and featuring blockchain gaming projects within the ecosystem. And we'll be rolling out an API, an SDK to enable some marketplace functionality, some data functionality to be readable by these projects. And we've got some exciting conversations happening there with the uses of our API. And to that note, what we see is like the marketplace can look like a game store and very much support the ecosystem with our community, so we can expose the top games being launched within NEAR, which have the biggest communities, which are playing the most, and with the data from the API and SDK, we can start to look at which NFTs are generating the most yield within these games, and albeit the market's still very early and young when it comes to blockchain gaming, we're seeing some amazing talent and teams that are now developing and building within NIA, which we're excited to be supporting.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to gaming, are you looking more an independent game developer, so mid-core or like really bigger games like AAA games, or it's like all of the above?
It's all of the above. The focus with it is with NFTs at the moment, so we're interested in working with the games that are looking at distributing NFTs, which we can incorporate within the marketplace. But the game store in general, we're looking at any game near compatible games. Um, we will also be working, with the Aurora team and creating EVM compatibility as well, which opens up some more interoperability between other chains as well. So how we see blockchain gaming evolving is going to be an interesting one, but really we'll see these game studios building multiple versions of their games across multiple ecosystems, which can all roll back, and it's interesting to see how that's going to evolve with how the game studios are thinking about attracting audiences and building their IP and their games within Web3.
Mm-hmm. And you see that Web2 studios kind of getting like really deep in Web3 and getting to understand the value of NFT drops and how to build communities there? Or is it mostly bottoms up, kind of like new players coming in and they're like intuitively understanding Web3?
We work with many and kind of have relationships with many more traditional game studios and are helping them navigate the Web3 space. Um, but what's interesting is the whole business model of game publishing in the Web2 world is very different to Web3, especially when it comes down to user acquisition, when it comes down to spending money through Google and Facebook to acquire new users and serving ads to those users to generate revenue, to increase the value per user. Um, Web3 is designed very differently, so there's a bit of understanding the different dynamics and how to then market these games and some different skill sets required, and managing discords and communities, and I feel there's a lot to be learned in both ways, and there's a middle ground where we need to come to, but that middle ground still being defined, because just like the transition from a fully centralized business model and business with shareholders to a fully decentralized, community owned, IP owned, is a a very different a viewpoint and operation and organization and everything, and it can be difficult to go from here to here in one very quick swoop. So yeah, I'd love to get your thoughts, Sure. I know you work with and kind of in contacts with many game studios, and how you see this evolution.
Yeah, I think I agree that it's very new model for people, and I think it's challenging for both independent game developers and also challenging for the game studios because, yeah, when it comes to game studios, they're used to like marketing side of it. Kind of like I pay $3, I get a user. That's like very understanding the old model, right? Versus the new model where it's like, well, you're building community and you do it in an incremental way. It's very challenging, I would say, in the beginning. And then for independent game developers, a lot of times their issue is with kind of like they feel like a little bit more exposed if they build community that they feel like it will be additional pressure. They kind of tend to prefer to build things on their own time and kind of like they're like very creative, but not don't want to have like deadlines and pressure. And so I feel like from both independent game developers and game studios feels like that the new model, they still like takes time to wrap their head around the new model.
It's interesting you talked about pressure because game developers that are comfortable, developing amazing games, amazing game experience, to then release it to the world and launch it on, the App Store, etc. Um, the journey being a project within Web3 is you are always on and exposed to your community with direct feedback to the community with a volatile asset, which is going up and down in price, and you're then having to deal with the community and their thoughts on that. So all of a sudden, it's a very different work experience, being then exposed to a lot of that, as you said, and comes with a lot more pressure, let's say, in some sense. And there's a lot of adapting and understanding how to navigate this new Web3 world.
Yeah, and the very big positive that comes with it, obviously, is that in the gaming world, is generally speaking, things are kind of like there's a lot of things that were developed. It just, regardless of what marketplace or vertical within gaming you pick, it's just very, very competitive, like be it on Steam or be it on mobile or doing indie games. And so it was kind of like interesting to talk to, for example, creator behind Crypto Hero. That was a game that launched in February on Near. It got to like 10,000 players. That was pretty good. And he just never he never had so much eyes on his project. He was building games for like 8 years, but given how competitive the industry is any day you launch in the game, you're kind of competing with like 20 other titles launching that day. And so here instead, he had huge influx of people into his Discord. A lot of people are interested. Not only it also feels like higher stakes. Not only it's like people investing their time in this, they're also investing money into this. And so people are like very much demanding, kind of like, hey, like you need to fix this you need to think more about. And he like completely didn't expect any of this attention that will come with this.
Yeah, a lot of that, and there's also a secondary like threat of crypto in general, which is totally out of your control, right? So, and look at what happened over the night and yesterday with Solana, and you've got all the assets being drained from, I think, 8,000 Phantom wallets, and this is your community, and this is your potential revenues, and even with Axie Infinity, who with their own Ronin chain got hacked for billions of dollars. I can't remember the exact amount, but it was a lot, and so you've got this added security threat and pressure as an entity and as a company that A, you don't want to get hacked, and B, you don't want your users to get hacked, and it's a threat that we operate in Web3, which sadly, time and time again we wake up with bad news. And it's another thing to stress about as a builder in gaming in Web3.
Yeah, that's right. That also comes with the industry. I wonder, how do you also think about the market conditions? Generally speaking, there's a lot of talk about like upcoming recession across the board. Do you think it affects in any way what you're doing, or it just kind of like comes and goes? The crypto also kind of has its own bulls and bears every couple of years.
Yeah, same as you, Sasha. I've been in this space long enough to know, like, the bulls and bears come and go. It just happens on a very accelerated experience in crypto, and it gives us an opportunity to focus on building. We're able to block out the noise and focus on developing. We're long term very confident within Web3, within crypto, within near. So for us, it just enables us to put off our focuses on building the platform. It does create, Nia's NFT ecosystem is pretty quiet right now in general, just because of the bull market, bear market, which is, as I said, not too worrying, but it does give other outside perspective, and projects coming in will be looking at the ecosystem and will be questioning where they build based on the current conditions. So that is something that does work, which is out of our control, and we try and convince and sell the picture of it's still early, and build, and they will come. And then in the macro, you can't control the macro environment and where we are globally at the moment. There's a lot of scary news out there with the recession, with inflation, but during recessions, gaming is one area that tends to thrive, and where we're sat, we're confident that Web3 gaming and crypto is going to continue to grow, and more very engaging, and great game studios are going to be committed to building in Web3. So there's a very big opportunity to capitalize on. So yeah, we're not too worried about the market at the moment. We feel that it's settled down a bit now from where we were after Luna and after some Celsius and Three Arrows Capital. And now things are kind of some green shoots are starting to appear. Let's say Near's overall wallet ecosystem is continuing to outgrow compared to other ecosystems, which is very confident that we're backing and building on the right chain. And so the more good news that we see coming out of this, despite being in a bear market, the stronger it puts us in when the market picks up again.
Cool. Sounds good. And I was wondering if you have any maybe last words of advice to our audience, maybe for like artists, musicians, or anybody else generally listening and having doubts maybe about like whether Web3 is for them. How do you think about potential like adopters and how to bring more of this creative people into the space?
Yeah, I definitely would advise to not rush into anything without fully understanding the space, and take time to learn about really the reasons why decentralization and Web3 is important, and why we as users want to be owning our own assets and let's say adding more value through taking out some of the internet intermediaries and middlemen that exist. I think that if you're interested in building on Near, they have a great onboarding team, great developer documentation. So if you're a dev, definitely check that out within the Near Discord or any of the Near communities and any of the documentation online. And definitely join the community, turn up to a hackathon or a couple of the industry events that are often happening around the world, and meet some folks from Web3 that are on the journey, and kind of find out their thoughts and how they got onto the journey. But we are seeing more and more mainstream adoption through traditional companies, through artists, through movies, all moving and experiencing and testing Web3. We're seeing big brands making big plays like Nike, Adidas, Gucci, and Facebook and Meta, with their stance. So I feel that now it's not so alien as it was a couple of years ago, and it's becoming much more accepted. And once you kind of have done your own research and understood, I'm sure there'll be a great team. We have a great team here at Few and Far that will be happy to speak to you to talk about how we can help from listing your NFTs and from helping you launch. So come into our Discord and come and say hi. And if you haven't done so already, come to fewandfar.com. It's fewfar.com. We'll share the links and come and have a play with the marketplace, and we'd love any feedback, and we can go from there.
Cool. Yeah, thank you for coming today. That was really insightful to learn about Few and Far.
Thanks for having me, and we'll look forward to doing something together in the future. And I'll see you in Lisbon.